Okay, today we're working on a 1985 Chevy 350. We're going to do the rings and piston real quick. I've already got the oil rings in, and the oil rings can go anyway, it doesn't matter. The middle wiper and then the two rings on the inside and on the top. Just keep the gap opposite each other. And then the next ring is going to be the bottom ring. You always have the dot going up. You can see the dot right there. See the dot? The dot goes up, and this is beveled on the bottom. You can see the bevel. You can barely see it, but the bevel goes on the bottom. Dot goes on the top. And then just be careful and just kind of get it around there and pop it on. Now, one of the questions I've seen is, do rings move while they're in the engine? Well, this block, I took two Chevy blocks and made one good engine, and all the pistons that were involved, the rings were all over the place. There weren't any in any where they were when they were put on. You could tell some were on top of each other in different positions, so they do move. Okay, the next ring is the top ring, and it's got the white dot. This is not a beveled ring, so you just have to make sure the white dot goes on top. The white dot goes on top. This goes in the top position, like so. Let's get it popped in there. Okay, so they're going to be opposite, like that. And the other question I've seen is, do you dip the piston in motor oil? The Mercruiser, this is a boat motor. The Mercruiser manual recommends you dip it in motor oil. A guy on YouTube, I guess it was Pete's Garage, he used WD-40 to soak his cylinder and spray on the rings here. But WD-40 is not a lubricant, it's a penetrant, and it evaporates. So if you do WD-40 and then you go to crank your engine, it's going to be dry. So you want to do it dip it in motor oil. So I'm going to go over here and dip it in motor oil real quick. That comes out like that, soaked real good. Then I'm going to take a little motor oil, go inside the cylinder. Then I got my piston installer. This piston, all pistons have a dot or a line. That's supposed to go to the front of the engine, which is going to be this way. So we'll go ahead and slide it in there. Like so. Make sure it's straight. Some people say to put a rubber piece on the ends of the studs, but I have my crank up out of the way so it's not going to hit the crank. Release this thing so it opens up all the way. Put it on. Crank it down real good. Get my rubber mallet. I'm going to tap around here to make sure it's flush. Then we just tap it in. And voila! She's in. So I like to use Lucas Premium Assembly Lube. It says it right on it. It's the Lucas oil stabilizer. And I'll go ahead and install my bearing after I install the cylinder, so that while I'm tapping that thing in, the bearing doesn't pop out and fall down there and get damaged. Okay, I got my bearing in. I like to put the bearing in after I get the piston in, so it doesn't fall down in there and pop out. Oil up the bearing and with the assembly lube, install it in the little tang right there. That's where you pop it in at. Now on this motor, you have left-handed and right-handed pistons, because the pistons have a flat side and a concave side. You can see there, that's a flat side, and this bearing cap, you'll see you have a concave side. The concave side goes against the crank. The flat side goes against the other flat side of the other cap. So your pistons also have a flat side and a concave side. So when you put your cap on, that has to match up, and the concave side goes against your crank. The flat side goes in the middle. The bearing tang has to match up. The bearing tang goes on top of the other bearing tang. So if your bearing tang is not lined up, then you're going to have your cap backwards, and you can't have the flat side on the outside. It has to be perfect, or your engine won't run right, or it'll wear in wrong. You got to double check and redouble check. I've been a mechanic my whole life, but this is the first time I've really done an engine like this from scratch. So it's a learning process. I think I've covered everything. I'm ready to torque everything down, get the oil pan on. This is a boat motor, like I said, going in a 28-foot yacht, and so I'm going to do more videos about that and show it to you, and the whole 9 yards when we get her going. I appreciate you watching. Please subscribe.